Hi learners, in this chapter we will learn all about Photoshop basics because these are the tools and techniques you need to know in case of designing something. So when you open the software for the first time, your interface will look like this. Now I'm using 2020 version. If you are using 2019 or 19cc or even the older versions like 2014 or 15, the interface may look a little bit different, but the arrangement and settings will be almost same. But if you're using kind of way more older version, for example like 2015 or before that, then the interface and the settings will be different too. In that case, you can ask for guidance. I'll definitely help you out. So I'm using 2020 version. You can see I have these options on the left hand side corner. Now all we have to do is go to File, New, and you will get to see something like this. Okay, now let's start from the beginning. We have recent over here. Recent have all those canvas sizes saved which I have used recently. So I've worked on clipboard, web most common, default Photoshop size, custom, web large, and the sizes of each canvas are different. So Photoshop has saved first 8 canvas sizes that I've used in the last week. And then go to save. If you have saved a certain canvas size, so it will appear over here, but I didn't save anything, so it's blank. We have photo, print, art, illustration, web, mobile, and film and video. Now you have to choose certain canvas size based on the requirements of your design and the purpose of your design. So let's say you're designing something for mobile, so you will definitely not choose something which has a higher width. We need something which is vertically long. So we have all this ready-made canvas sizes. So let's say I'm gonna design something for iPhones, so you have to choose which iPhone this is, and according to that you can choose your canvas size. Let's say art and illustrations. There are some standard size and which is in pixel grid. You can see the 1000 pixel grid and 2000 pixel grid. If you're designing a poster, you got to choose this particular canvas size, or if you're designing a postcard, you can choose this one. So you don't have to select always or put the width and height size. We have already some ready-made canvas sizes over here, so it's like Photoshop 2020 version is way more easier than the other versions because we have the ready-made canvases. Now if you're not satisfied with the canvas sizes which is already given from here, you can always customize the way you want. So come to this side, I'll explain a little bit about this. Preset details. I hope you can see this. This is the name of your canvas. So usually by default it's untitled one. Like when you open Photoshop for the first time, it will always show you the untitled one. But you can change the name if you want. I'm entering my name, Shreya Roy. You can use your name or anything, it's not necessary. So you can change the width of your canvas from here and the height, how long it will be from here. All these informations are based on this default Photoshop size. Now if we change this thing, let's see what happens. If I change this to landscape, look at this, the width has changed, the height has changed. We had 7 and 5 and it has changed to 3 and 2. Now let's change the mode of your canvas and let's see what are the changes we get. Look at this. Web most common is selected and the width is 1366 and the height is 768. Now look at this. No wonder why this is too much, because it's selected in pixel. In the previous photo canvas we had selected this thing in inches. Now what is pixel? Pixel are the smallest unit of a picture. When you got a picture and you gotta over zoom it, you'll able to see tiny small boxes that creates the image. So millions of pictures create one image. So keeping that in mind, that it will change automatically based on your design requirements. So let's say if I'm gonna use web large, the width will be 1920 and the height will be 1080, and the setting is in pixel. For photograph, it's completely different. It will convert it into inches. Now a few more things to know. So we can see here is an option called orientation, and this is selected in the horizontal mode. This is horizontal and this is vertical. Now when we are using mobile, and see what happens. If I select this or anything like that, it will automatically convert into vertical canvas. Why? Because this is vertically long. And in case of web, the orientation will change into this. Now if I want to change the orientation of my canvas size without changing the mode of my canvas, what we can do in this purpose, the width we have for 1920 and height we have 1080. If I change the orientation, width and height will swap between each other. That means the width will be 1080 and height is 1920. If we change the orientation within the same canvas, the numbers will not change. It will correspondingly swap between each other, between height and width. That means the width will be comparatively smaller than the height. If I change it again, See, it's 1920,080. So coming to this thing, artboard. What is artboard? When you're using layers, artboard is a section where you can add artboards or remove artboards. But if you are unchecking an artboard, that means that you will be only working with layers. Okay, I'll be showing you the difference between with artboard and without artboard later. Now coming to this resolution thing. Resolution determines the number of pixels you have in your image. So we have a range resolution from 72 to 300. So by default, it is 72. We can, however, change this to 300. See, I changed it, and it's always pixels per inch. Don't change it to pixel per centimeter. Now, next setting is color mode. By default, it's RGB color. We have already discussed about it. What is RGB? And we have other options too: bitmap, grayscale, CMYK, and lap color. Bitmap and lap color doesn't use frequently in Photoshop, and grayscale has minimum use in Photoshop. So basically, we use two types of color: RGB and CMYK. I hope you know the full form of CMYK: shine, magenta, yellow, and K defines the black color. So by default, RGB will be selected, and you don't need to select this, and it will be in 8-bit. These are some settings that we don't need to change, but however, you can always change the size of width and height, and change the orientation if you need, but don't change this color mode and advanced options because it should be by default. So now we have background contents. Let's see how many options we have. White, black, background color, transparent, custom. Okay, so by default it's selected in white. Let's say if I need a black background, you will get to see it. If you want to change the background color, you can do it. A transparent is something like you will not get to see any color. You will be able to see a kind of checkerboard which doesn't have any color. So I prefer transparent background actually for my visual satisfaction. And custom is for your customized background color. Let's say if I need a purple color, so my background will be purple. Now the background color actually doesn't matter because we can fill a complete layer with any color, and we can always use that layer as a background. Now coming to this advanced options, you will able to see these two options: color profile and pixel aspect ratio. Now don't change these two things, otherwise you're gonna get in trouble while designing. So the pixel aspect ratio, the pixels are supposed to be in a square format. If you are changing this, it's gonna be a mess. Don't change these things. These define some other composition, so don't go for that. I'm not gonna elaborate this right now. You can see this option color profile, and it's set it in don't color manage. So let's open it and see how many options we have. So let's say that you're using an Apple computer, or like I'm currently using a Windows PC. So even if you're using the Mac device or Apple device, don't change it to Apple RGB. It should be by default like this. Now notice one thing: when we are in the web canvas, the artboards are selected and it's checked, and when we are in photo canvas, the artboards are not checked. So it's definitely according to your needs, and the color profile will convert into based on your requirements. You don't need to do this. It should be by default. So I guess I explained everything over here. So there are two canvas sizes which I personally like. First is the web large, which is 1920,080 pixel and 72 resolution, which is PPI, and the next is the photo landscape canvas, which is 3 into 2 inches and 300 pixel per inch the resolution. All right, now let's go for this web and select the web large and press OK. Now look at the screen. What are the arrangements we did? This time I didn't change the background color as transparent. So we got, by default it was white. So we got to see the white. If you try to remove this white color, you want to see the checkerboard, it won't happen because the background color is set it as white. So we won't get the transparent thing. If you need a transparent background, you have to go to file and new, and again have to create a canvas. So the second thing to notice, I saved the canvas with my name. So you will be able to see that name, and that will be on the top of your layer. So one thing that I noticed that most beginners do, let's say if you have two works in Photoshop, so after completing one work, people just close it and again open the Photoshop and then start working with the next composition, which is absolutely unnecessary. You don't have to close the entire software in order to do something new here. So we can simply close it from here. Now let's say you don't need a clean canvas, you want to bring some photographs that you're going to work on or edit on Photoshop. Now how to bring a photo in Photoshop? Go to File, Open, and now your desktop will open. If I select an image, I need this image, and press open. Now you don't have to change the canvas settings and the size of this canvas, height and width and everything. The size of your image will be automatically the size of your canvas. Okay, now one thing that I would really like to mention, that this particular course is designed for both of the individuals, beginners and professionals. So if you already know a little bit about Photoshop, you may skip this basic chapter and you can get into the Photoshop tutorials, because in the tutorial section, graphic design has been explained precisely, so that's pretty much like for advanced. So you may skip it if you already know this thing, but these basics are for beginners. So this is it. I'll see you in the next video. So we got the decent idea about the canvas settings of Photoshop. Now here is the thing, when you're working with Photoshop, the most important thing you need to work with is layer, because this is what you're going to design on. Your canvas is your visible layer, and all of your layer will be arranged in the right hand side corner on this blank area. When you're opening Photoshop for the first time, you will get a default layer already created that's called the background, and that will be locked. So you need to unlock the layer in order to design something on that. So let's unlock it. So now we have one single layer over here. You can also turn this off and you'll be able to see this checkerboard. This is called a transparent canvas, and we have put it the white color over here. Now how to create new layers. You have to come to the bottom section and you'll be able to see a lot of icons over here. We have a delete button on your extreme right, which is unable right now because we have only one single layer here and you cannot delete that one layer. If you create more layers, then only the delete button will be enabled. Alright, the next button we have for creating new layer. Let's click on this. And we got a new layer. You can create thousands of layers over here, clicking on this button as you want. And the names of the layers will be automatically modified, like from layer 0 to layer 6. For example, if I'm drawing a butterfly over here and I want to name layer 6 as butterfly, so that's possible. Double click on this and name it as butterfly. Most of the designers often do it while working with a lot of layers. It's easy to understand. For example, if you're working with 100 layers, it's really difficult to understand that which layer contains what design. So in that case, you can just change the name of the layer. That will be easier for you to recognize and understand that what I have in that layer. Alright, so you can do that. So now, since we have created 6 layers here, the delete button is enabled now. We can delete any one of them or all 5 of them. Let's delete some of the layers. I'm deleting layer 5, layer 4, layer 3. Okay, so now we have layer 0, 1, 2, and the butterfly layer we have created. You can also drag layers on top and bottom. For example, let's say I'm working on layer 2 and I'm creating something. I'm changing the color for better understanding. Okay. Now what I did is I made a star and some cross lines in layer 2. I intentionally made these lines on the butterfly to make you understand that the butterfly layer is on the top. So these layers are going behind the butterfly, not on the butterfly. If I drag layer 2 on the top of the butterfly layer, see what happens. The cross layers will be on the top of the butterfly. If I drag it again behind the butterfly, it will be behind the layer. So the topmost layer will be basically visible on your canvas, and the rest of the layers will be underneath. If you turn off one layer, then only the next layers will be visible. So now I'm working on a white canvas, so things are pretty much visible, like layer 2 and layer 3 and every layers are visible. But if you work with pictures, only the first layer will be visible and the rest of them will be hidden underneath. So if you turn off the first layer, only then the second layer will be visible. Alright, it works in that way. Now these are the eyes that determine that whether your layer is visible or not. If I'm turning off the butterfly layer, it won't be visible. And same goes to layer 2. So this is how it works. Layer function is the primary lesson that you necessarily need to know in order to work with Photoshop, because layers are everything that you're going to work with. Now let's say you don't want to move this butterfly, but when you're working on this Photoshop, it automatically like shifts a little bit, which you don't want. You want this position to be fixed at this. What you can do in this purpose is you can lock this layer from here. Just click on that and your butterfly layer will be locked. So no matter how much you drag this, even the white background will be dragged. but the position of the butterfly will never change until you make it unlocked. So this is how you can work. In case you need something very permanent, you can lock that layer and you can work with the other layers, so it's not going to be a problem and your final output will be clean enough. So these are the few essential things you needed to know before working with Photoshop. So this is it. I'll see you in the next video. Hi learners, in this tutorial you will be learning how to remove the background and replace the background also. So first we have to unlock this layer, double click on this and press OK. You can make another duplicate layer of this for backup. First we have to select our subject. Take this quick selection tool from here and select your subject carefully. In case you select those portions which you don't need, come here and you can see this minus portion, it's for deselection. Click on this and deselect it. So don't worry if you have selected extra portions which you don't need. So once we have selected this, press Ctrl J and it will be popped up. So you can see that we have our subject popped up in another layer and that has no background in that. So we can easily replace the background with any picture. I'm going to use a solid color in here, so turn off the layers which have the background and make a new layer from here. And fill this layer with any color. I have selected white color over here, so I'm going to go with that. Press Ctrl backspace and your layer will be filled with the color that is on the foreground. So drag this layer which doesn't have a background and drag it on the top. Now we have removed the background, changed the background color into solid color, and now this hair looks a little fake. Since I selected white color, any of your flaw will be visible. So if I would have put any busy background or the background that has so many colors in it, this won't look this fake. Just because we have the white in the background, it's so much visible. So you can remove some of the portions in the hair if you want. I'm changing the brush from here. I'm using Kylie Ultimate Charcoal Pencil Brush. And I'm going to remove some of the areas which I don't need. I selected this particular brush based on the requirements of the texture. Now we are done with this and it doesn't look fake at all. So we have removed the background, put it the solid color, made some changes to make it more realistic, and we are done. This is how you can remove the background or replace it anywhere, and I hope that is not difficult for anyone. So I hope you got the decent idea of how to remove the background and do these kind of things. If you have any question, ask me back. We are done. I'll see you in the next video. Hi learners, so in this tutorial I'm going to be talking about the application of hue, saturation and brightness, contrast and all those things. We have discussed about this before in the section of color theory, but that was a theoretical portion, so here is the application or the practical example of this. So as you can see, I selected a picture and take that on Photoshop. The reason why I selected this particular picture is I was looking for one colored picture, that means that would be monochromatic. In this picture, the only bright color we have is red and the black in the background, so I'm not considering that. So let me show you how hue saturation works. First of all, I would like to make a copy so that you will understand the difference. Drag it to the bottom and make a copy of this. Then go to Image, Adjustment, and Hue Saturation. This box is everything about this application, so Let's change the color first. As we know, hue is another name of color. So we can change the color from hue's channel. You can do it like this way and you can see the difference. As you can see, the color is changing smoothly without any pixelation. Because I selected a color which has only one bright color, so this is the reason. Here in this picture, I don't even need to select this flower because I only have one single color here, so I don't even need that selection. But in case of those pictures which has a visible background and a subject and a lot of things in that particular composition, in that sense you have to select subject separately and then you have to apply hue saturation, or you can change the color in other ways too. We have also a tutorial on that, you can however check that later. So basically hue is changing the color without making any difference in the intensity or the brightness contrast, because we have those controls over here. So let's select it to purple or blue and then come to saturation. Saturation basically determines the intensity of the color. So the picture that I've selected, that is already fully saturated, so I don't think that will make a huge difference if I increase the saturation, but if I decrease the saturation, that will surely work. Let's have a look. If I decrease the saturation, it will lose the color and will fade away. You will get a pastel color. You can see it's like more like a pastel color. It doesn't have too much saturation in it. And if I increase the saturation, it will be too much bright and it will be fully saturated. So let's make it 0 because that's very standard. And next we have lightness. Lightness is basically for brightness and darkness. It determines the amount of black in your picture, also the white in your picture. So if I increase the lightness, it will add the amount of white in my image and make it extremely bright. If I decrease the lightness, it will increase the amount of black in my image and it will make it invisible. Same goes for white, it will make it invisible, but the white amount will be full. So let's keep it to 0 again. Now we know how hue, saturation and lightness works. Now what's the application of those things? What we actually can do with these things? We can really make simple posters with these things just by changing a little bit of settings. Let me show you. So our image was in red and I converted into purple, and then we'll increase the saturation a bit, though it doesn't make any difference, but still, yeah. And we'll decrease the lightness. Okay. Now I will add some text over here, create a new layer from here, and take this type tool. So you can keep it lorem ipsum, I'm not changing it. I would like to change the color of the font, so double click on this and change the color. Also you can change the font from here. I would like to choose this one and we'll increase the size of it. Press Ctrl T and increase the size of this thing. Like this. Now you can add more text like this. Now you need to understand which font goes with which font. So font pairing is important. I would also increase the darkness a bit more. So as you can see, I didn't do anything much, but I created a poster and it already looks good. This is how you can create simple posters, but the objective of this particular tutorial is to make you understand the application of hue, saturation and brightness contrast and how we can work with the settings. So I would like to show you the final output, how it was before and how we did this. Let's have a look on this. So we had a simple, bright, close picture of a flower and we designed something like this. So this is kind of like a simple graphic design template that I created. Just change a little bit of settings and we got this output. This can be used to create social media posts, also in greetings card, because this template will go with both. So yeah, this is how you can do this. I hope you got the decent idea of application of hue, saturation and lightness and how you can work with this. So let me know if you have any question regarding this. I'll see you in the next video. Hi learners, so in this tutorial we're going to learn how to change the color of any object in Photoshop. So for that you need to choose any portrait or picture where you're going to work on. Just like I've selected a portrait for myself and my subject is this bird. Now our objective is to change the color of this bird. So before we start, I would like to make a clean copy of this particular layer for backup. So drag this to the bottom and make a copy of this. Once you do that, come to the left hand side corner and select the quick selection tool. It kind of looks like a brush with a dotted circle and it's the easiest way to select any subject. You can increase the size from here. I'm using keyboard shortcuts and then you can simply select the bird. So once you're satisfied with the selection, go to image and then adjustment and then press hue saturation. Then you can change it to any color you want. Make sure it doesn't look fake. If I choose such colors like shine, it absolutely burns the entire picture, so I'm not going to use that. So in this case, I'm going to choose a color between blue and purple, and then I'm going to decrease the lightness a bit, and then press OK. And once you're done changing the color, go to select and deselect it. So here we go, we changed the color of the bird, but I can see some of the areas which are not selected properly. So that's the reason why it's still red. So what we can do in this purpose, we'll create a new layer from here, and then we'll go to the bottom, and I hope you can see these three dots. Right click on that and press this eyedropper tool. Then take this color from here, make sure it's blue. So once you pick the color from here, go to the brush tool and start painting those areas which are still red. Don't worry if it's look fake, we're going to adjust it later. So once you're done painting those areas, go to this blending mode and change it to hue. It's going to match automatically. You make sure that you're painting on a different separate layer so that you will be able to change the blending mode of it. Do not paint on the image. Always do your work in a different separate layer so that you will get the access to modify it later. So once we're done with this, come back to this layer and zoom in. We'll remove the eye section. So take this eraser tool and start erasing. And then take another layer and again paint on these areas slightly. And then change the blending mode to hue again. If you want, then you can paint again. It won't make any difference, but it will give you a feel that looks original. So this is how you can work like flawlessly. Now I'm going to group all these three layers and we'll show you the difference before after picture. Turn these layers off and let's see what are the differences we made. So this is how you can change the color of your object. Now to make it more realistic, I'm going to play around with the colors even more. So I'm going to go to image and then adjustment and color balance. Now set your color balance to highlights and decrease the highlights to blue. You can experiment with the color levels that which one suits well with your picture, and once you're satisfied with the settings, press OK. Now I can clearly show you the difference, how it was before and what are the changes we've made. This particular picture looks a bit dull and it fails to create a contrast and it doesn't have proper highlights on it. So we adjusted the color balance and now we got our final output like this. It's much better than what we have done before and it has proper highlights. So this is how you can change the color of your subject and make it look more realistic. I can show you the final output for the last time. So it used to be like this and we have done it. It's actually a huge difference and doesn't look fake at all. So try this out, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Okay, so in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to create double color exposure. It's really an interesting topic to discuss about. Also, this is really easy to create. So you might have seen these kind of designs in posters and magazines, and this color effect has been extensively used in graphic design. So it's really easy, but it's also effective. One recommendation from my side that portrait selection is really important. I chose this picture. I didn't just randomly pick any picture and started working on that. Portrait selection is important. When you're working on the double color exposure, try to select the darker background. Now, I won't say that this is the complete darker background, but at least it's not like it's super light background. So I think it's going to work for me. I'm going to go with that. Before we start, just like we always do, make a clean copy of this image for backup. And you know how to do it. Just drag it to the bottom. And so once we're done with this, select the first layer as it's already selected. And then press Ctrl T for transformation and right click on your image. And press flip horizontal. And then press enter. So now you can see our original image and the transformed one. Now right click on our transformed image and select blending options. Now you will be able to see this box open. Now make sure it's selected on the blending options, not on all these options. And come to the section of the advanced blending, and we will now work on channels. We have three channels, R, G, and P. If you turn off any one of them, it will create a color contrast and will give you the double color exposure. Let's see how it works. I'm going to turn off R, and you can see the difference we've made. If we also turn off the green layer, the entire color exposure is going to work on only the blue layer, and the component of blue color is yellow, so yellow and blue will be the ultimate color is going to be on our image. Now let's make some difference too. Let's select R and B. You will get this kind of tint, and you can play around with these things. So I kind of like this contrast. You can, however, choose your favorite color, and you're going to personalize that in your way. But here in this case, I selected channel R and B, and the green is unchecked. So I'm going to press OK, and I'm going to work with this. You can also change the position of your image. For example, if I want to move it, you are able to move it around. If you want to place it somewhere else, you can, because we have done it in separate layers, so you have that access. This is the reason why it's so important to work in different separate layers, so you will get the access to modify it anytime and any way you want. So I kind of satisfied with the position that I have already. So now this is how you can create the double color exposure. It's really easy. There is not too much steps you need to take, but it's important to understand the color channels and values and how you can make contrast in it. So I'm going to add some text in it to make it look more like a poster. So I'm going to create a new layer and then use this text tool. I'm going to write graphic design. Now, there is no certain rule why I wrote this graphic design vertically. I could write it horizontally also, but it's about your own creativity. I just like it in this way, so I did it. You can place it anywhere you want. I want it this way. So obviously this color doesn't look good on it, so I'm going to change the color. This color is going to make contrast to my image, so I'm going to choose shine. And press OK once you're satisfied with that. So it's kind of look like this. You can increase the size if you want. And press OK. So now I would like to show you the final output, how it was before and what we did. It was before like this, and we made something like this. So this is how you can create the double color exposure. It's a really easy process, but what makes it valuable is to know the technique of doing it. So now I exposed the technique so you can do it too. I hope you got the decent idea about the color formation and the channel settings. Yeah, try this out and I'll see you in the next video. Hi learners, so in this tutorial you will be learning how to create 360-degree effect in Photoshop. This particular technique comes under the advanced photo editing technique. So it has certain steps that you have to remember every time you're creating 360-degree effect. So basically in this technique, we work with landscape images and we wrap that on the circumference of a circle. So our final output will kind of look like this. You can notice that the landscape image has been wrapped on the circumference of the circle and the angle is 360 degree. When we had the previous picture, it was 180 degree, a flat surface. So there are a few steps that you have to keep in mind when you're creating this. I'll try my best to explain each and everything precisely so you will be able to create that too. First, you have to choose any landscape image which has some of the objects like buildings or maybe trees if it's a forest or something. So I chose this particular image and we're going to work with this. First, we will unlock our background image so that we can work with this, and we will make a clean copy of this image for backup, just like we always do. Next, we will go to image and we'll click image size. Here we have to make the width and height same. So let's put here 10 and also change the height to 10. So once we put the same value for width and height, press OK. Now your image will be converted like this. Next, you have to press Ctrl T for transformation and right click on that image. Then click on rotate 180 degree. Once you rotate this, press enter. Next step, go to filter, click on distort and then select polar coordinates. You'll get to see this box. So you can see our image is already converted and wrapped up. You can check a little bit if everything is alright or not. Then once you're satisfied with that, press OK. And yeah, this is how you can create the 360-degree effect. Then if I want to increase the size, you can just transform it, press Ctrl T and you can just make it a little bigger and press enter. So yeah, this is how you can create the 360-degree effect and you can wrap up your landscape image on the circumference of a circle. So to talk about the application of this particular design, this kind of technique is used in creative editing. For example, creative ideas be like, you can place an earth or planet over here and you can work with landscape forest images where you will be having trees and other things, and the earth or the planet will be surrounded by that landscape image. So the trees will be around here. So this is one of the examples of creative editing. So here in this process, I chose a landscape image of building. Our final output can be used in robot design even if this is created by buildings. So yeah, you can try this out too. It's really easy. Just follow the steps and you will be able to do that. Also, I'll be attaching some design materials, for example, the landscape images, in case you don't find the best pictures for yourself on Google. For this particular effect, I'm definitely not going to choose any portrait picture because that's not possible with this technique. So it's really important to choose your design material where you're going to work on. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the technique and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Okay, so in this tutorial you will learn the neon light effect. Before starting this tutorial, first thing you need to keep in mind that you have to select any object where you will apply the neon light effect. Like for example, I chose this portrait and my core object is the glasses. I would make it shine. Now, it's definitely not essential to choose a portrait where your model will be wearing glasses. You need to find out a core ingredient. Like for example, it can be shoes, it can be wristwatch, it can be earrings if your model is a female, or it can be anything. First, you need to select the core subject where you will apply the glow. According to that, you can search on Google like model with glasses, model with shoes, model with earrings, or anything. Now, in case of neon light effect, it's not always necessary to choose a certain object. You can create a stroke and you can make it glow. For example, laser beams and light lighting effect and a shape that shines and so on. Now I'm going to show you both of them in one tutorial. First I'll show you the glasses and then I'll show you how to create a shape and how can you make it glow. Now this is the picture that I've chosen. As usual, create a copy of this layer. Right click on this and press duplicate layer. Okay, and you got a duplicate. And I want to make another duplicate layer in case I ruined one. So we have 3 duplicate layers. Now zoom in. You can use this magnifying glass to zoom in. Okay, zoom in a little bit more. Okay, now take the pen tool, and we have already learned before how to use the pen tool, so I hope that it's not going to be a problem. Select the glass very carefully. Now I'm going to speed up the process a little bit as it's the same. So I've selected the glasses. Now right click on this and make a selection. Okay, so it's selected. Now press Ctrl J and it will be popped up. Now you have to again make a selection of these circles because we don't need them in the glasses, so select again. Now we have selected both of the circles. Now make a selection. I'm using a keyboard shortcut. You can just right click on that and make a selection like that. And simply delete it. Make sure that you are doing this on this particular layer, not on the original layer. And now then deselect it. Press this select and then deselect. Now it will be normal. Now you can see the difference. I'm turning off all the layers so you can see that what I've done. Come to the back side and now turn this layer off and we will work with this first layer, which is our background. Now go to Image, Adjustment, and Brightness and Contrast. Now decrease the brightness according to your needs. If I do a 0, you can see the difference. There are these parts looks too much odd, so I'm not going to do that. Increase the contrast to 100%. We need it. Now decrease the brightness a little bit more. Looks good. Press OK. Now go to Image again, Adjustment, Hue Saturation. Now press this colorize button on. I'm gonna give a tint of blue actually, and decrease the lightness. Increase the saturation a bit and decrease the lightness. Press OK. Now go to Image again and then Adjustment and then Levels. And then make it a little more dark. Press OK. Again go to Image and then Adjustment and then Brightness and Contrast this time. Decrease the brightness and increase the contrast a little bit. Press OK. Now we have completely made this picture dark. That's what we were supposed to do in the neon light effect. You have to make the background as dark as possible so the neon light will glow and your composition will look much better. Now turn this on and you can see these glasses, right? It's in the original color. Now this is much confusing, so I want to change the name of this layer. Double click on it and I'm just naming it as glasses. Okay, glasses. So it will be easier for you to identify which layer is for what. Now select this glasses. You know how to do that. Right click on that and select make selection. Then go to Image and then Adjustment and then Invert. Then deselect it. Go to Select and then deselect it. Okay. Now it looks much better. Then make a copy of this glasses layer. Duplicate layer. Okay. Now turn this off and we'll work with this one. Double click on this and you will get to see this option, the blending options. Now look at very carefully. I'm going to add an outer glow in this. Come to this section and press outer glow. Now I want to give an outer glow which is blue in color. Okay, I like this color, so press OK, and then we'll add a little bit outer glow in it. You can control the opacity from here. I'm increasing it to 69, it's good. And spread, how much it will spread. I don't want to spread it too much because it will look fake. Now I want to make it 3. Now this looks good. If you're satisfied with the settings you did, press OK. Now after we added the outer glow, create another layer and take the brush tool from here. You can choose the color from here, from the color picker tool, and go to the color. Double click on this and you will get to see this box. I'm choosing this color. Press OK. Now zoom in. I will always recommend you to understand the function of the tools, because don't go for the shortcut keys at first if you're a beginner, because it will never let you learn the original process of what exactly you're doing. So you need to know the functionality of those tools, how it works. So zoom in that. Make sure that you have chosen the soft round brush, not the hard brush. Now I see the opacity is extremely loud, so I want to make the opacity really low, and I'm going to paint it again and again if I need so. And you have to understand which are the areas you have to paint in order to make it glow. Now paint those areas where there should be a reflection of this light. Don't worry if it looks fake, you are doing this in one separate layer, so it will be blended. Okay. Now we have to change the blending mode to color dodge. Okay. Now we have to erase some of the portions which looks fake. So either you can use the erase tool. I prefer mask, so I'm going here and using mask. Okay, and take this brush tool and start erasing. Zoom in and start erasing some of the areas which you don't need. So my opacity is in 6%, so I don't need to worry. You can erase simply. Extra portions we don't need, which looks extremely fake. Okay, this kind of look like this. And now come here and you will be able to see the 3 dots over here. Right click on that and you will able to see the rest of the tools which is not visible in your toolbar. So I'll be selecting the blur tool, which is kind of look like a drop of water. Select this and select this layer where we have created a mask. And then increase the size. You can go there and increase the size of it, how much you need. I'm again using keyboard shortcuts. Then zoom in and then just blur it. And make sure the strength is in 100%. Okay, just blur it. You may not see the difference, but it's actually making a huge difference. So just make it blur as much as possible. Now you can see the difference, how it was before and how it looks like now. It looks extremely loud, right? You have to erase a little bit more. That's it. Now as I told you, I'll show you how to create a shape and make it glow. That will be kind of like a beam light effect. Now to create a shape, take this line tool from here and draw a triangle. Just drag it and create a triangle. Now we have drawn the triangle and it's already filled with our foreground color. Whatever color will be here will be also there in the fill section. So we have created shape 1, shape 2, shape 3. You can turn it off. You can see that which shape is for which line. Now select these 3 and either make a group or merge it. Now after merging the 3 shapes, select this triangle. You know how to do it. Right click on that and make a selection. And after that, right click on this again and go to blending options. After that, you can adjust from here, make outer glow again. Increase the opacity, decrease the noise. Noise should be 0, keep that in mind. I want to spread it even more. Size, oh my god. Now once you're satisfied with this, press OK and deselect it. Okay. Now this shape looks a little dull. I want to change it to white. Now go to the line tool again and change the color from here. Change it to white and change it to white too. Okay, now go to the line tool and increase the size of the stroke. I want to make it too bold. Now it looks pretty good. So you can see the difference, how it was before and how we did this. It's good to go. But I'm not satisfied with the position of this triangle, but you can however modify this later if you want. I'm just doing it instantly, so I'm just showing you the technique how to do it. Now select all of them and make a group, and so you can see the difference. Okay, so we're almost done. A few more things to add. You can add any text. Now I want to change the font too. I want to make it very simple, so I'm choosing this body calibre. It's good. Transform it according to your needs. Now we have added the text, and again right click on this and go to blending option, and then again we'll add some outer glow in it. It's already applied, see, but I want to spread less and opacity a little high because otherwise it won't be visible, and want to make the size less. Now I want to make it a little light. I want to change the color of it. I'm not very satisfied with this font. Would like to change a little bit. So we are done with this. Let's see how it looks like. It looks pretty good. So I hope you understood the techniques that I've shown you. It's not too difficult, but for beginners, I think it's a little tricky. But if you can practice this, you will be habituated using these things. If you have any doubt or question regarding this, ask me out anytime. We'll help you out for sure. So this is it. I'll see you in the next video. Hi learners, so you got to learn a lot of things so far. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to manipulate a picture, which is called the photo manipulation technique. Now before I start, I just want to say that photo manipulation can be done in several ways. A picture can be manipulated in a lot of ways, and all of them would be called the photo manipulation technique. I'm showing you one kind, but it can be done in several ways. If you want, I'll be later showing you the different type of manipulation techniques and how it looks like. So let's get started. So the first thing we have to do is unlocking this layer and make a clean copy of this. You know how to do it, and I'm using again keyboard shortcuts. Now I'm going to bring the elements that I'm going to put in this picture. I'm going to go to File, then Open, and my desktop will open. I selected some butterflies for this picture, so I'm going to select that and press Open. Once it opens, drag the second layer and again drag it to the previous layer. And then delete this one. Okay, so we got this. This is really huge, so we have to make it smaller. Press Ctrl T and transform it according to your needs. Make sure the butterflies are in a different separate layer. Don't merge it with the previous one. It's still so large, so I'm gonna make it a little smaller. Just place it where you think it fits perfectly. Okay, so we're gonna modify this later. Press Enter. And then I would hide it because I'm gonna work with this later. Now we have to cut this head off. It sounds so dangerous, but it's so easy. We have to select the patch tool from here. You can see the three dots, right click on that, and you will get a lot of extra tools which is not visible on the left hand side corner. So I'm gonna select the patch tool from here. The first one is hidden, so we're gonna work on the second layer. Select this and hide the previous one, which is our backup. Now zoom it a little bit more if you need. Now I would like to cut this portion. Be careful when you're cutting this portion. That's it. I want to cut this portion off. You don't have to press anything to select this. It will get automatically selected, and it's way easier than the pen tool. After you make a selection, just leave your mouse and it will get automatically selected. After that, click on the portion that you want to remove and match it to the portion which exactly matches with the previous one. This may work for me. Just leave. and it will be adjusted automatically. Press Ctrl D and you have done it. Then again, make a duplicate of the layer that we have patched. So I'm going to remove some of the areas which kind of looks fake to me, but make sure you're not revealing the hair, so be careful when you're removing this portion. I'm using the soft brush with rounded corner, and yeah. So yeah, it looks good to me. Now we have to add the butterflies in it. Now it's gonna look really good. So the butterflies are way more spreaded, so I don't like the placement of some of the butterflies. However, I can manipulate that also. So we're gonna manipulate the butterflies again. First, we have to select a position where it fits well, and then we can manipulate it according to that. Now take this lasso tool from here and cut the butterflies which we don't need or which you want to place to somewhere else. For example, I would like to place this butterfly to somewhere else. So I'm cutting this butterfly off and make a selection, press Ctrl J, and then you got a butterfly from here. And I want to place it to the top. And I want to remove this butterfly from here. Similarly, I want to add some more butterflies on the top and want to remove some of them. First of all, we have to adjust the position. I'm going to make it small and place it like somewhere like here. Okay, so I like this position. Press Enter. Now I want to change the position of this butterfly. Again, want to transform it and make it a little small. Press Enter. In the same way, I'm going to change the arrangement of the butterflies and the placement of them. Otherwise, it won't look real. I don't want any butterflies on the face, so I'm going to remove these butterflies from here. I'm going to use this lasso tool again. Want to select it. Take out this. I'm going to remove some of the butterflies which we don't need. When you're placing the butterflies, make sure you're checking the position again and again, because once we are done with it, we're going to add the effects on overall picture. At the end of our project, if you feel like this position could be better or I want to shift this butterfly to here, it won't happen. So it's necessary to fix the positions beforehand. I'm going to be very careful while selecting the butterflies and fixing their positions. So once we are satisfied with the number of butterflies that we have placed here and also the position, we can work on the effects. Let's see how it looks like. It looks good. Now we have to merge all of them together. Our background layer and the butterfly that we have created. Press Shift and select all of them, then press Ctrl Alt Shift E. And then turn off the previous layers. We're going to work with this one. Make a copy of this if you need. Then come to Image, Adjustment, Hue and Saturation. Press this colorize button on and we're going to make it blue. Because the butterflies are blue, so we're going to give an overall tint which is in blue and increase the saturation. You can adjust according to your needs. And then press OK. So you can see the difference, how it was before and how it looks like now. Now we're going to turn on the butterfly layer and we will drag this on the top. So now the butterflies are in original color. Go to Image again and then Adjustment and then Levels. And I'm going to make them a little more highlighted. So that they will shine like radiums. Press OK. Now you can see the difference. So once you're satisfied with that, we will create another new layer, which will be on the top. It should be a clean layer. Take the brush tool. Make sure the color is white and select a brush of your choice. I'm going to select the special effect brushes. So click on this and you'll be able to see these type of patterns. Scroll it down. I like the third one, which is Kylie's spatter brushes. Pressure control. So zoom in. You can control the size from here. I'm again using keyboard shortcuts. Sometimes increase the size and do it again. Now take the butterfly layer on top and check on this layer that we have created the effect and erase some of the areas which we don't need. Just for example, like these areas, we don't need them. And then come to this layer and go to Image and then Adjustment and then Levels. Make it a little dark. Press OK. Now you can see the difference what we have done. So turn the brushes layer on and let's see how it looks like. And also turn on the butterfly layer, which is our final one. Now understand the difference. When we are not using the original color, it kind of look like this, and in this picture everything has the same hue, so the butterflies are not grabbing our attention. But when we are turning on this layer and getting back the original color of the butterflies look more vibrant and look much better than before. It adds more value to the graphic design and it looks good. So we have to keep trying until it looks good. I'm going to decrease the lightness of this layer a little bit from here so that my butterflies will be more visible. Press OK. This is how the final picture looks like. I would like to show you the difference, how it was before and how it looks like now. So I'm going to merge all of them together. You know how to do it. Now we can see the difference, how it was before and what we have done. It actually made a huge difference. Now here is a question why I selected blue color, because my butterflies were blue and I wanted to make it matched. But if you want to change the color, you can. You can do anything with your photograph. Just play around. You can change it to green or blue or purple or dark blue or pink or the vintage color. You can change it to anything, but I'm keeping it as blue. So this is our final output and we are done with this. However, these graphic designs are not for beginner level. So if you're finding difficulties, reach out to me anytime. I'll be definitely helping you out in that and will be guiding you in the best way possible. Also, if you want to try this out but you're finding difficulties to find the right pictures for yourself, I'm going to be attaching 2 pictures that I've used in this tutorial. The background model layer and the butterflies layer. You can use them and practice along with the video.